Hello everyone, this is Allegra from the Good Word Radio Show, and I'm bringing for you today our very first testimony time. Yay! Anyway, as you might guess, a testimony time is when we share some testimonies of the amazing ways that God has moved in our lives. So, this first one is going to be about the radio show. So, let's go back to Italy. For those of you who don't know, I'm a partner missionary with European Faith Missions, and as a missionary there, I usually partner with other organizations. For example, the Houses of Prayer in Milan and in Boston, where I lead prayer sets and worship sets. And I intercede for those places, and I intercede for other places from those places, like while we're praying and worshiping. Anyway, we do stuff like that. So when God brought me back here, I remember I was just confused. I was temping and substitute teaching because up until this point, that's where most of my work experience has been, TAing or substitute teaching or just teaching, lead teaching. And so I just kind of fell back into that on my way here looking for work. And so I was just kind of like, God, why'd you bring me here? But I was on a day substituting at a high school, and I remember sitting in kind of like an entryway, and I saw all of these flags around me, and I was like, oh my goodness, all of the nations are here. Like, they're right here. Like, whether you're talking about colleges, whether you're talking about high schools, whether you're talking about just like undergrad, graduate, whatever it is, like people are coming to New England, people are coming to the United States for opportunity, particularly regarding education. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, like clearly there's a reason why you brought me here. Tell me more. And so I had this idea of radio because a close friend is involved in radio. So I thought, okay, well, this is an avenue that I'm becoming more and more familiar with. I want to be in music. I want to be doing media. So let's start. Let's see what we can do here. So I had this idea of a radio show called Nations United, because obviously United Nations is already taken as a name. So I had this idea for Nations United, and it would just be, I had like drew out a logo, and it was this like Pangea thing where the globe and it's like the continents are just one massive continent, because the idea from the beginning was the nations united as the body of Christ under Christ. So in comes my missions partner, the same woman who gave me the word, and we're representing an affiliate ministry called Go Missions, where if you go to gomissions.eu, there's a list of different missions opportunities in Europe. So we were going to promote that partner organization and just get the word out that Europe is an important missions field, like the most unchurched continent in the world. Like, it's a hugely important missions field. So we're going to share that word. And I just remember thinking, oh my goodness, God, what are you going to do? What is this? You know, I had enough money to buy my ticket there, but I didn't have enough money to buy my ticket back and pay my upcoming student loan payment. Somehow I get to Ohio where the conference is, and I'm with my missions partner. The organization is covering our hotel and, you know, little things like that. Well, that was a big thing, even though when I'm working full-time, that's a big deal. So anyway, there we are, and I'm just going through this whole week like, okay, God, when is someone going to give me money? Like, honestly, like, if I'm going to be completely honest, like, I was hoping that my missions partner would be like, oh, the Lord is leading me to pay your ticket back. And it never happened. You know, it just never happened. You know, she gave, like, a small donation for, like, food and things like that to help me out in that way. But like, other than that, I was pretty much kind of like on my own. And I was like, God, I don't have anything to be on my own with, so what is going on here? Anyway, we get to the last day. Meanwhile, I had met some people at a booth called One Body, One Spirit. And it was a woman, the owner, one of the co-owners, and her very good friend. And we got to talking, and I got to sharing with him about my dreams and about just social media stuff. And so I'm just talking about these dreams and talking about the logo and the radio show and just all of these fun things. And they're like, why don't you hang out with us again tomorrow? And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. And it's the last day of the conference, and I'm crying like a baby because I just saw a Rafa House video about human trafficking, and it's a huge issue on my heart. And as I'm talking with One Body, One Spirit, they're like, yeah, we give 20% of our proceeds to human trafficking. So more and more I'm starting to see in a line of vision. And then the radio show, like, again, the goal was unity and diversity. And then Ephesians 4:4 is the verse for One Body, One Spirit. One body, one spirit. So again, this concept of unity. So I'm looking at them like, you guys are really cool. Like, we have a lot of the same, like, goals for ministry and the way we want our ministries to go forward. This is really cool. And so my missions partner, Elisa, she buys some shirts from them, and I go to buy some socks from them because that's all I could afford. And it was just a really sweet time. So it's the last day of the conference, and nobody's offered to miraculously pay for my bus ticket. Like, I was waiting for this testimony. I was just so ready to come home and be like, yes, the Lord led someone to buy my bus ticket. It's amazing. Oh, praise Jesus. And no. So I go through this little like prayer thing in the middle of the conference room. I go through that, and the first thing is the cross, where you nail your disappointments, your just things that you're holding on to above Jesus, and you take them and you nail them to the cross. So I go and I nail my unbelief of financial security, my unbelief that God is going to bring dreams and hopes to fruition, that God has a plan for me. I was like, I nail my lack of trust to the cross. And I go through and I have some journaling time and I take some pictures, and I was like, here we go. And I buy my bus ticket home. And I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not going to ask anything of anyone. If you want to do for me, God, you will do it without me having to be like, because I feel like in that moment, the test of faith was me to say nothing. Sometimes God is leading you to ask, because that is how your faith and how your character is going to grow. Sometimes God leads you to say nothing, because that is how your faith and how your character will grow. And in this circumstance, in this situation, I needed to trust God that he would provide for me, even if I didn't say anything to the people around me. And so I remember when I was sitting at that cross, I heard this bird chirping, really loud. And I'm like, not even paying attention to it. And it's so insistent. And it just keeps chirping. And I'm like, what? There's a bird in here? And I look up, and it's a sparrow. And immediately I'm drawn to Matthew. If I will take care of the birds, just a little sparrow. I take care of the sparrows. I feed the sparrows. How much more so will I take care of you? And I was like, whoa, wait, yes. How much more so will you take care of me? So there, my faith is increased, and now every time I see a sparrow, I'm just like, Jesus is amazing. But yeah, so I have dinner with the people over at One Body, One Spirit, and we're talking, and I'm sharing dreams and goals, and they're sharing dreams and goals, and they're like, hey, we want to support you. And I'm just like, wow, oh, awesome. And then they're like, hey, here's $100. And I'm like, oh my goodness. It was exactly what I needed to pay my student loans. It was exactly what I needed to pay my student loans, because I only had $20 in my bank account until my next paycheck, which would be the week after. But my student loan was being withdrawn the same week. And they gave me exactly what I needed. And those $20, $22 that I had left, I bought my weekly bus pass so that I could get back and forth until my next paycheck came. And it was just enough, and it was exactly what I needed, and it was what I needed for my faith to grow at that time. And so out of the blue, just like that, I had people partnering with me and willing to support me in the creating of this radio show, so that when I brought it to the network, Gag Order Network, which we still stream on, when I brought it to Gag Order, I brought them a complete package of a radio show with our vision. I had already gotten the Twitter handles. I had already had our Facebook page set up. Then they're like, hey, you might want to add an Instagram. So we got that set up, and I had the proposal, I had the objectives of the show, I had the plans of how we wanted to see it develop and what we wanted the show format to look like. And I went and looked up the universal radio show formats, and I was like, okay, this is how we're going to do it, and this is when it's going to happen, and this is how it's going to look. And we also already have a sponsor. Not a lot of radio shows can go to that network or any network saying, hey, we're a fledgling radio show of young, whatever, and we also already have a sponsor, and we haven't even started our show yet. Like, that was what we were able to do. That's what I was able to do when I brought the show to them. And it was just really an incredible moment, and an incredible just example of God's faithfulness. And just, he really does have the whole world in his hands, and it's good. He is good. He is so good. And so it was really just incredible. Yeah, believe God for your dreams. He cares about your dreams, he cares about your hopes, and he cares about how you're going to get there. So don't be afraid. Just don't be afraid that he's going to get you where you need to be, because if he's called you there, then he's already made the way. All right, guys. So thank you for listening, and we'll have more testimony times and mini goods coming out. And looking forward to hearing any questions and comments, and I'm always happy to do any follow-up videos if there are enough questions about what all of this was about. All right, guys. Take care. Hey there, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Listen Saturdays 3 to 5 on thegagordernetwork.com. Ask questions, request songs. Your feedback is always welcome. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.